Take 3 Gen Xers, give them a topic about music, movies, pop culture, or whatever, and how it relates to them growing up in the 70s and 80s as part of Generation X. Add one person from another generation to see if there's any common ground, and you've got Solve for Gen X, starting now.
Just for a through line between episodes, I am now dressed as a baseball coach for my audition today.
He has another commercial audition today.
All right, well, that's a Broncos jacket, and that's...
I know, but...
One thing that I know...
It's sports,
and
it's a Denver Nuggets hat, but, I mean...
All right,
it's just
but
sports
you do
gear.
look like a
I'm not a baseball. I'm not a baseball guy, so I don't have any baseball. I do have a Rockies hat.
Uh-oh. Don't let them... Don't come in and say that.
Hat.
Yeah, I'll pull out my Rockies hat.
Yeah.
No, I'll pretend like I'm a big baseball guy.
Yeah.
Solve for Gen X.
It was the age of parachute pants.
Skinny ties, neon headbands.
We rode our bikes, clothes helmet free.
A nicotine from a vending machine.
Decades, pastimes, memories, and masters. Solve for Gen X. Solve for Gen X. Solve for Gen X. Solve for Gen X.
All right, everybody. We are here with Solve for Gen X. I'm Ashley.
I'm Nate.
I'm Matt. Oh, shoot.
No, it was really good.
Perfect.
It was super fast.
Yeah,
It's
that
like
was
one
great.
on top of each other. We're
that's great.
becoming masters.
We
And
are.
this week what we're talking about is the movie you can quote on your deathbed. And since I'm the one that am hosting this week, I'll start. So mine is pretty predictable if you know me. It is the 1987 Coen Brothers classic, Raising Arizona. Their sophomore
That's great.
effort. Raising Arizona is insanely quotable.
Yes.
It's very funny.
Yes.
It's very weird. I'm pretty sure I first saw it. It came out in 1987. I did not see it at the movie theater, but it weirdly ran, like we had a movie theater in our town. Our town was not that big, but Holly Hunter is from my hometown. Holly Hunter, who played Ed, Edwina, short for Edwina, in the movie. And so I think that's why it was at the theater, because it's not like it had some huge release. This was the Coen Brothers' second movie. So Blood Simple was the first movie, which was this like very dark, maybe not noirish, but it was very like a darker, not really comedic movie. And then this was like went as far away from that as humanly possible. Nicolas Cage stars as H.I. McDonough, who is a like constantly being arrested criminal who ends up with a police officer, Ed McDonough, and
Repeat offender.
yes, we were released on our own recognizance.
Yes,
That's a John Goodman line, I believe. Yeah, it's so funny and so weird. I'm pretty sure I rented it at Blockbuster Video for the first time that I saw it, and then when I got to college, the person that ended up being kind of my boyfriend for most of college, a guy named Joseph, he loved it too. And I don't remember if I showed it to him or if he had already seen it, and that was like part of our bonding. I honestly can't remember anymore, but we were obsessed. We would quote it constantly. We watched it all the time. I remember I think it was when we were living in New York, you know how sometimes they would, on the street, there would be like somebody with a table with like screenplays laid out, and you could buy one. He bought the screenplay of it, which like who knows where those things come from, and like probably like the first 3 pages are like somebody typed it out, and then the rest of it's just like an old paper about Freud or something. It's like, wait a minute,
This isn't.
But like, first of all, I was so excited because it was Holly Hunter was from my hometown. It was this big movie that she was in, and she then was very shortly after that in broadcast news, where she was nominated for an Oscar. So I was super into Holly Hunter, super obsessed with her. But this movie was so funny. Frances McDormand is in it. She has some of the most quotable lines. Did you get the dip Ted? You got to get the dip Ted. She has so many good ones. But yeah, it's just funny and weird and quirky. There's like, son, you got a panty on your head when he goes in he's wearing a pantyhose on his head to rob a convenience store. there's just everything about it is funny. And there's like a furniture owner named Nathan Arizona, and he owns a furniture store called Nathan Arizona.
Unpainted Arizona.
Unpainted Arizona. Yes. And if you can find it for a cheaper price, then my name ain't Nathan Arizona. There's so many.
Nathan Jr.
So
and then
good.
Nathan Jr. is the baby.
Nathan Jr. is the baby they end up stealing and raising Arizona. Spoiler alert for a 40-year-old movie.
Yeah.
That is the main plot point is they're not able to have children. So they decide these people have quintuplets, I think. And they decide to steal one of the babies, which is a very funny scene with Nicolas Cage sneaking in.
You're mighty fine, he is.
I think I got the best one. And then she holds him. She goes, I love him so much.
Yeah.
Why ain't you breastfeeding? You appear to be capable. That's when the convict, John Goodman, and the other guy come in. They're eating mighty good cereal flakes, Mrs. McDonough. Like eating breakfast.
You really could quote it. That's great.
I know
That's
a lot of
amazing.
it. I really do. Like it's.
And thinking back, I do. There are so many lines that are. I mean, every single.
Well, you haven't
word
even
that's
hardly done
spoken.
any of the Nick Cage ones.
Oh God,
And
yeah.
he has
There's
so many.
He's the doctor said her insides were like a rocky place where my seed could find no
Could
purchase.
find no purchase.
I use that a lot still.
Yes, that is so great.
I gotta think of what that one is that you're talking
I
about.
don't particularly appreciate.
I don't particularly think that
Yeah. Something.
yeah. Oh, there's another good Frances McDormand one. I'll just do this last one because this was one that I used to do all the time. And she's in the middle of talking to her. You gotta get the dit-tat. I mean, you can skip the something, but I can't remember. But anyway, you can put his thumb in iodine and skip the orthodonture, but you gotta get that dit-tat. Roddy, take that diaper off your head. Put it back on your sister. I've done that 1,000 times in my life.
That's so great.
She's just like so because they have those horrible children. The one
Yes.
that like writes fart on the wall, like, hey, Raleigh there's Smartwood. He already knows his ABCs. Look live, and he throws rocks at him. The dad guy, and then he's like written fart on their paneling of their wall.
It's so great. Oh my
A thing I
gosh.
loved to do in college, and people would like ask me to do it, was there's this lullaby that Holly Hunter sings to the baby at one point, and it's like one of these like old like Appalachian like story songs where it was like the way they would pass news around. And so I'll do like a little bit of it. It's like, her father sits at his cabin door, wiping his tear-brimmed eyes, for his only son soon shall walk through yonder scaffold rise. So that's like just the beginning of the song. But the song is basically about a guy who like the end of the song is like, for I did murder that dear little girl whose name was Rose Connolly. It's like you're singing a lullaby about like a murder, and then the son is being killed for murdering this girl.
Wow.
Oh, what a
music-
dumb thing. The music throughout
But
the
it's great.
thing
That
is
music,
amazing.
And a lot of it is that theme too. Like a lot of that,
Yes.
the instrumental becomes that. It's so great.
Would you say this is your favorite Coen Brothers movie?
I would have said that. For a long time, I think it was. I don't think it is anymore.
What supplanted it?
It's hard to say. I really love Fargo. And I really love No Country for Old Men. Like, I just think they got better at making... It's a really, really, really good movie. But I think, like... I don't know. I think they've made better movies.
So when you ask that question, I'm not really asking, do you think that is the best movie they've ever made? I'm asking, is that your favorite? Is that the favorite movie?
Maybe, but,
yeah.
like, I don't know. I just
Because
like
I think
a
it
lot
really
of
is
their
two different
movies.
questions. Like,
Yeah.
for me, it is my favorite Coen Brothers movie. Like, I could watch that movie more times than any of their other movies.
It's just so absurd and ridiculous and and memorable and quotable and light. I mean, but it also, there's like emotion in it. I mean, there's
for
like
sure.
real emotion that I love.
I mean, I probably haven't watched it in like 10 or 15 years. It's been a minute since I've watched
There's
it.
something
but,
about like a movie maker's sophomore effort that I often feel is their best cleanest, like best, most consumable kind of movie.
I wonder if is Boogie Nights Paul Thomas Anderson's second movie? I think it is.
For sure, not his first.
One of my faves.
Maybe his second. For sure, not his first. I think Pulp Fiction from Tarantino is like, if I have to choose one of his movies, that's the one.
I agree with you. I mean, just even the storytelling and all the elements, the actors, the writing, the music, the
jokes,
look of it,
everything.
There's so much. There's a lot of humor
it's
in
like,
Pulp Fiction.
In a second effort, you have. I think the key, the formula is on a sophomore, project. You have all of a sudden you have the means to really fulfill your vision, but you still have enough people like holding you back from going too far or becoming too indulgent.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Because then like later Paul Thomas Anderson, like I like what's the Magnolia. I like Magnolia, but to me it's a little indulgent. Like it's a little long, it's a little bit like somebody needed to say, hey, maybe scale it back a little bit or something, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
There's so many movies that I could quote on my deathbed. I don't know that I could quote like that. Like that is so rich. Like you know that movie so well. And so when you say them, I kind of go, oh yeah, those are some great quotes. As I get older, I think I remember less.
Oh, for
so
sure.
I feel like some of those things that I did know, I feel like have faded away. So maybe I should write down the quotes, or maybe I should die sooner, so at least I remember.
Well, now you'll
have a shot at remembering.
Now you'll have this podcast.
Oh, that's right. Yes, that's good. So there's like a bunch of things that flash through my head, and I don't know why Raising Arizona wasn't one of them, because I do adore that movie, and I do know some quotes from it. I mean, I thought of like The Wizard of Oz, and but like weird quote, not the normal ones like "Who rang that bell?" or just weird quotes, not ones that mean anything, When I was in high school, I do remember going to see the Rocky Horror Picture Show with some friends, like a midnight showing, and I kind of became a little obsessed with it, and I went out and got the audience participation CD.
I see what you did there.
If you know, you know.
If you know, you know.
And so I like knew that, and then I almost like for a while I knew that movie kind of word for word along with the audience participation stuff. And then so then there's that. So Rocky Horror Picture Show, and then Monty Python. I discovered them around high school. I fell in love with them. I just thought about that just a little bit ago.
Oh man, I forgot about
their
that.
humor, the ridiculousness, and like I could definitely quote Holy Grail for a long time.
Oh yeah,
and Life of Brian.
Oh yeah. But I'll say there are two I think that I probably quote the most. And they both have to do with my family. So my whole family quotes this movie, and each of them could probably quote this movie on their deathbed. That's horrible. But It's a Wonderful Life, because
that's a good
we have
one.
this tradition. We all, like Christmas Eve night, we're all sitting around together watching. We just did it this Christmas Eve, and they're also not the most probably well-known quotes, or maybe they are, I don't know. But it's not like, I wish I had $1 million. Hot dog. It's not that. And it's not like, hee-haw. It's not that. But things like, this is probably a little more common one, but help you down. Merry Christmas to you from jail. That is said from my family a lot. Jack, my son Jack, who's 22, he has two favorite things that like make him laugh when they are said. One of them is, I'm just your little rent collector. It's no skin off my nose, which happens 3/4 of the way in, where his little guy is talking to what's his name, Potter.
Yeah.
The other one is when the guardian angel Clarence is yelling after Jimmy Stewart and saying, she's just about to close the library. that quote, Jack just like bursts out laughing just because of the way it is proclaimed in the film.
Clarence has such a funny voice. That guy,
he does.
That actor.
But the movie I would quote on my deathbed, it is, I'm going to say a couple of quotes from it. Now, you may know these.
Fun
I'm
game.
going to try it anyway. I'm not going to try to do any character stuff. Okay. Your eyes can deceive you. Don't trust them. Anything yet? Think about it. Here's another one. who's the more foolish, the fool or the fool who follows him?
Now that really...
The first one really got me. I feel like I know what it is.
Here's another one.
The Matrix?
No.
Would somebody get this big walking carpet out of my way?
Wait, is this The Big Lebowski?
No.
Nope.
No. Oh, God.
This is another.
That's
This is
the one.
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
Oh, this is Star Wars. Or
Yes.
It is
but
Star
is
Wars.
it
Yes,
the first
Star Wars. It's
New
the
Hope?
first one that I will only call Star Wars. I'm not going to
Yeah,
call it A
okay.
New Hope. It's
As a Gen
Star
Xer,
Wars.
it is your right to just call it Star Wars.
Yeah, that's what I knew it as. Yeah, I mean, there's some really great quotes in there. I originally saw Star Wars in 1977, of course. It was at the Glenwood Theater in Overland Park, which was like the really fancy theater. It's gone now. And I had the Story of Star Wars album, which also...
Nice.
God, and you still have it in
here.
the plastic.
So the album, The Story of Star Wars, what is it?
It's like a narrated... it's a narrated story album, but it uses the actual film and the words and like the actors. It's like
But
lifted
it's not
from
the
the
movie.
film.
Did it
It's
have a
just like-
book?
is.
Did it have a
It is.
book that came with it?
No.
Oh.
No, I mean it's like it is the
It's the
it
audio
is-
of the movie?
yes, and then like every once in a while they'll say Princess Leia aboard the starship. Like it'll have a little bit of
Wow.
narration with it.
Oh.
And I remember where the skips were. Like I
Wow.
remember that, like as I'd heard it so many times, it burned into my memory. But there is one quote that is used most often in my household by only me, and it is whenever anybody in my family says that's impossible, which happens more often than you think. So when that happens, somebody says that's impossible. 10 out of 10 times, I will quote Luke Skywalker from Star Wars saying, "It's not impossible. I used to bullseye womp rats in my T-16 back home. They're not much bigger than 2 meters." That's what I always say. I fluffed it up there. But,
They must love that.
well, this happens multiple times a year, and always with my kids. Usually they just kind of roll their eyes, but Jack does appreciate it. Like, I don't think he's
nice.
setting me up to say it.
Yeah,
It just
yeah.
happens. And so that's probably the thing that's probably the quote that I would quote from my deathbed is, "It's not
Wow.
impossible. I used to bullseye womp rats in my T-16 back home. They're not much bigger than 2 meters."
That's fantastic.
Wow, that is so great.
Wow.
That is a very iconically Gen X movie to quote on your
Yeah.
deathbed.
Yeah, it's probably first choice, but you know what? That's me.
I think that's great. I think it's perfect. It's
is
so
awesome.
good. So, okay, we've got a very quintessential Gen X pick from Matt for the movie you quote on your deathbed. I think, like, kind of a cool pick for me with Raising Arizona. Like,
Yeah,
little
yeah.
off the beaten path, pretty cool.
Yep.
I mean, I hate to brag, but it's true. Is it bragging when it's true? I don't know. Sometimes it's just truth telling. And so we got to hear from Nate. What will he bring to us?
Something basic.
Oh,
The lesson from on this podcast, as we accumulate them and do more and more, will be that Matt and Ashley are interesting people, and Nate is basic.
That is not true.
oh,
Yeah,
what are you
basic.
talking about?
Raiders of the Lost Ark was a big one for me, and I can quote a lot of stuff from that movie, and I like the It's a Wonderful Life stuff from you, Matt, because it's like you're quoting stuff that isn't like oh, that's the famous quote from that movie kind of stuff. I love that kind of thing. I loved Raiders of the Lost Ark so much, and we loved, my friend Ben and I we like the smaller parts or whatever, like the guy who comes into Marion's bar, like the Nazi, right? He's like, "Here's Fräulein. Let me show you what we are used to dealing with." Nick! One day, my friend Ben and I decided to dress up as that character. He had this fedora hat and a tie and the fire, not the poker, but the thing when you grab the wood log from the fireplace.
It's like a little grabber.
With like a little pink sock that to like double at, and then glasses like
Excellent.
the Nazi wore.
And the lighting of this photo is horrific.
Yeah.
It's so dark.
Well, and
dim.
remember, it's like taken on a real
I
camera
know.
too.
Yeah.
So
Is
anyway,
this Halloween?
no,
What-
it was just like I had the.
It was a Tuesday.
I had the fedora, and because I used to love hats, I still love hats. I had the fedora, and then we saw. I probably just got done watching the movie and saw my parents' fireplace thing. It's like, well, let's pretend like we're that guy. And what year is that movie? Like
81.
81. There you go. So I was like 10 years old. But that's not the one really. Then like the next movie that I think is like impactful to me that I could quote is the movie Meatballs.
Meatballs. I'm just talking about meatballs.
And so many of these movies are like have a very common thread. Not Raiders of the Lost Ark. In Star Wars 2, I was big. I love Star Wars. The common thread in some of these movies are like Harold Ramis, Bill Murray. It's like all these comedy people. And then like with Ghostbusters, there's like, and then Ivan Reitman does quite a bit of like movies, have done quite a few movies that I can just quote. Yeah. And then like there's like Vacation, like Harold Ramis, John, and then also like The Breakfast Club and all of, what's his name's movie? John Hughes movies. John Hughes also wrote Vacation, right? So there's all these movies to choose from, right? And then there's the Mel Brooks movies. Blazing Saddles and History of the World Part 1. I can quote all those movies like pretty much back and forth. More of the Dan Aykroyd, like Spies Like Us. Modern Problems.
Doctor?
Is that Chevy Chase?
Doctor?
Yeah.
Doctor.
Modern Problems is Chevy Chase. Spies Like Us is like the Chevy Chase and Dan Aykroyd. The movie was, I think Dan Aykroyd wrote it, and Harold Ramis probably wrote it together. I'm not sure. Dan Aykroyd for sure wrote it with the idea that John Belushi was going to star in it with him, but then John Belushi died, so Chevy Chase stepped in. And same thing with Ghostbusters, right? Bill Murray took John Belushi's part in Ghostbusters. I like watching those movies sometimes and like thinking about John Belushi and his line deliveries. I can totally see it.
Oh.
He seems much different than Bill Murray or Chevy Chase. But then when you watch the movie and hear the lines, you're like, oh wait, but John Belushi could totally read those lines in a way that would be different and still very interesting,
Just as a side note here, just because I know Nate really well, when he was in, I believe, 6th grade for a book report, which like people in my 6th grade are like reading Bunnicula or something like the Vampire Bunny story. He read Wired, which was the Woodward the Bob Woodward biography of John Belushi. And that was what he did his book report on.
6th grade.
Yeah.
Sixth
well,
grade.
it's like when you're the kind of book report where like instead of like the book report is like a form you fill out.
Yes.
And like it's like, what did you learn from this book? And my takeaway was some drugs aren't as dangerous as I thought they were.
It's what every teacher wants their 6th grader to
But
read.
remember, this is like Just Say No era.
Yeah.
Where it's like they told us that if we even think about using a drug, we will die.
You're going to die.
So to me, it's like, oh, you mean you can use heroin more than once? Like you can smoke marijuana without dying immediately, which was a really bad thing that they did, because it really, like in our generation, I think it really planted a seed of distrust for people in official capacities telling us stuff.
Well, I didn't mean to sidetrack us that much.
No,
but
it's
just your obsession with John
That's an
Belushi started so
interesting-
young.
It's a good discussion to have, more since Gen X kind of
Was John Belushi your favorite, if you had to pick a favorite?
for like SNL
Just
people
in
or
general, in
No,
general,
it was-
those comedians of that time, were you like, well, John Belushi's
John
my
Belushi,
favorite.
it changed. Initially, it was John Belushi because when I was very young, I'd stay up late enough to my parents would watch SNL or whatever, and then Blues Brothers, again, a movie that I could quote.
Oh, yeah.
Right. But and then like for Saturday Night Live, like I was in junior high during the Martin Short season. So I could do every Martin Short impression, and was Ed Grimley for Halloween like several years in a row. Oh, and also Bill Murray, right? Was a real favorite of mine too, because Stripes and Meatballs. My friend Ben and I would watch Meatballs in 6th grade. We'd go home and watch Meatballs every day after school. But Chevy Chase would probably be my favorite, the least likable. And then that leads me to the movie I have to pick would be Fletch. Like of all of them,
For some
right?
reason, I was like, where's Fletch?
That really is the one I could probably quote the best. and have quoted the most.
For sure.
And would, like, if I had to choose, like, here's a movie, what movie do you want to watch right now? It'd be Fletch. Over all those others, probably.
Also, you've probably been characters from Fletch more for Halloween than any other movie.
Well, as an adult, yeah, like one year is like, oh, you know what? It would be fun. Like every year I'm going to go as a different Fletch character.
So he was G. Gordon Liddy, the airplane mechanic. Fletch in the Lakers. I'm Dr. John Cocktoastin.
Okay, that's what it is. I was like, there's a doctor or something he says. What was it? I can't remember.
No, it's Dr. Rosenpenis.
Oh, that's Dr. Rosen.
Dr. Rosen?
John Cocktoastin.
It's Dr. Rosen. Oh, come on, guys. It's all ball bearings these days. Maybe you need a refresher course. Ah!
I gotta watch that movie again because he is so good in that movie.
He is so good. It's just like, and you know, one of the best lines in that movie, and I turned it into a meme sense, and I shouldn't be online ever, like, talking to people who are crazy and insane.
That's true.
But, like, when someone does say something, like, replies to a post I make or something, that's something like, I don't know, I like to put the meme of Chevy's like, God, I admire you.
Oh, that was the one from the lady with the guy with the thing.
Yeah. Because it's such a good, like, I don't know, there's something about it. It's just such a great cut, like, burn. Like,
but the words seem to be
no, I know.
positive.
And it's the sort of thing, like, and in the scene, of course, the person is like, so you take that to your people at the, God, I admire you.
Do you feel like that's like, Chevy? Or is that something that feels like the character that was written in those books? I don't know.
I don't know. I feel like it's Chevy. Let's see.
It's improvised?
I want to see who wrote
scripted?
Fletch, if I have that down.
Just curious to see
written by
how
Andrew
much
Bergman. Written by Andrew Bergman, who wrote Blazing Saddles. Co-wrote Blazing Saddles with Mel Brooks and Richard Pryor. And The In-Laws and The Freshman and Striptease, oddly. But The In-Laws I love. The Freshman, Blazing Saddles, of course.
Oh my God.
So I don't know if that... I would love to see like a real script, not just the teleplay, but the real script of Fletch, the movie, to see like what was improvised and what wasn't. And honestly, I don't even know like how great of an improviser Chevy is necessarily. I know like they always say that like the scene with Chevy and Bill Murray in Caddyshack, it's like they had shot the whole movie and they're like, oh my God, we don't have a scene with Chevy Chase and Bill Murray together. So they just threw them in that room together. And
this is where it's like Chevy Chase hits the golf ball into Bill Murray's like hovel basically, and he's like, "Do you mind if I play through?" And Bill Murray's like, "Oh yeah, go ahead."
I have to admit, I have never seen Caddyshack.
You've never seen Caddyshack?
No, I don't know why.
Oh, you should watch it.
Yeah.
It's fun.
I don't know how
Meatballs.
it stands up, but
Meatballs is funny too. It's not as funny as Caddyshack.
Caddyshack is pretty funny.
I don't know how I've escaped
The main
that.
problem I have with that whole era of movies is they cast these really funny men, really funny, and then the women they get are like clearly not comedic actors. They're sort of like just hotties. Occasionally they will have like an actual comedic actress, but they are all these just very objectified, no like meat on the bone in terms of literally their physiques and
are expected to do nudity.
And they have to do a lot of nudity, and it's like it's very that ethos of like the 70s and you know like
these are guy movies.
They're very much guy movies. But I will say,
which is why I'm basic.
If you can divorce yourself from that and watch it, there's a lot of funny stuff, which I can because I like to laugh more than I like to hate. Put that on my epitaph.
That's pretty
Wait,
good.
on my tombstone.
I don't.
Is that the same thing?
I'd like to come use the pool sometime. Yeah. Come on, we got a pool and a pond. Pond would be good for you.
The pool.
Pond, pool, anything really.
You gotta watch it.
I'll get Jack to watch it with me because he's definitely not seen it and he would probably love it.
Oh my God, it is, and it is.
love
Talk about a quotable movie.
I think Fletch is not basic to me. I don't know that a lot of people know that movie. Maybe
Is that
I'm
true?
wrong.
People my
don't
age
know.
do.
Yeah.
Dudes my age know that movie for
Right.
sure.
All right. Well, I'm your age. I do
maybe
know
I'm
that
wrong.
movie,
Maybe I'm wrong.
No.
but I don't know.
Yeah, I'm always surprised when younger people don't know movies. Like when I would teach improv and the students were 10 to 20 years younger than me, I would always just be like, flabbergasted, the movies they didn't know.
I got like genuinely annoyed the other day when someone did not know who Barney Fife was, and then I was like, okay, calm down. Don Knotts, still nothing, and I was just like, and you want to do comedy? You purport to want to do comedy? Interesting. You should look him up. Like I was
Mr. Furley on Three's Company.
I was genuinely furious. I was just like, oh, he's just sort of the comedic genius of our time that laid the groundwork for most of the comedy you enjoy today. But yeah, you don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So bad.
It just happened one day when I became the old guy, right? But like I remember taking a screenwriting class with Michael Showalter, who I can't say enough nice things about, and we watched his film. One of his films during the class, just because he wanted to show us examples of like structure and stuff.
What's it?
It's like a person's name. It's the something.
I'm embarrassed. I don't remember the name of the movie, but and there's a scene in the movie and before the scene goes like he turns to me and he's like, Nate, you'll appreciate this part, and then it's him. About to do something, and he goes, "This is crazy! This is crazy! This is crazy!"
Oh yeah, which is
yeah. And it's just like at the time I was like, "Oh, I should have been like glad that Showalter was trying to bond with me," but really, what I felt was like, "Oh, I'm old. Like, I'm the only person in this class.
You're the only one that he's gonna know.
I'm the only person in this class who knows what that quote is from."
When you are improvising with younger people. And do they bring up references that are like, you're like, I don't know what that means, but that must mean something. How do you deal with that?
For a long time, I knew nothing about Harry Potter.
Okay.
And so if Harry Potter came up in an improv show, I would figure out a way to play. Like one time we were doing a musical improv show where the title was something about, it was like Lady Gaga goes to Hogwarts or something. And so I opted to play Lady Gaga. So then I don't have to know everything. I'm new. Okay. I'm new to Hogwarts. So, like, that's one strategy is sort of be, like, the new person. Okay. But my sort of least favorite thing is when someone's like, and if someone didn't know what that was, that, like, little, and it's just like, okay. Like, that's, to me, is tired, and let's retire that. And figure out a more clever way to do that.
Yeah. I was just curious how it works.
I'm kind of a bitch. Let's just be honest.
That's what Nate and I have been texting about. Side texting. So So we wanted to ask a young person about this to see if there's any commonality in our generation. So today I've asked a friend of mine. She is a writer and a voice director on the television. She's written for Daniel Tiger's Neighborhood, among others, and she's voice directed for Paw Patrol. And so she's a mom of 2 girls, one of whom is my goddaughter, and she is a millennial. So let's welcome Mary Jacobson. Hey, Mary.
Hey, Mary.
How are you?
Hey. I'm great. I also am so happy to be like the young person today.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen. The other day, somebody called me ma'am at the store, and I said I don't answer to that. So this was nice.
So, Mary, we are talking about the movie that you can quote on your deathbed.
I think, first of all, I don't like to think about my deathbed. But if I had to do a movie, I loved, I still love Mrs. Doubtfire.
Oh.
Are you guys familiar with it?
Sure.
Oh, yeah. I've seen
Back
it
when it was
times.
still okay for men to dress like women?
Yes. When he goes, when I hold this cold meat, I think of Winston. Do you remember that? It's like my favorite quote. I love it. And like when I'm making sandwiches for my kids, sometimes I'll say that. Like I'll hold the turkey, and they have no idea what I'm saying.
They don't know.
But I think that's like a comfort movie, and I think I was 12 when that came out, and we would get it from the video store, the local one. So it was
not
like
Blockbuster.
Larry's. It was Larry's.
Larry's Video?
Yeah.
And would you rent it on a DVD?
No.
Or VCR?
VHS.
No.
VHS, I mean.
VHS. Oh, nice.
Be kind, rewind. Like
Yeah.
So we would call on like a Friday to reserve a movie. We'd call and be like, "Can you hold this movie?"
Wow.
And then I would watch it, and then I would rewind it and watch it again. Like it was comfort to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Especially when Robin goes, 1 lump of 2, and the cream the pie and it's falling. I just love it. I could
Oh my God.
see him as my dad, you know?
I
Like,
love the montage of him getting transformed into Mrs.
Yes.
Doubtfire with Harvey Firestein,
Yeah.
and it's "Don't Rain on My Parade." I think is the song that's playing, and then he does like little Barbara moments.
Yes.
Like, he has like some little imitations where
Yes.
he does a Yentl hit. I think at
The
one point he's
Yentl.
like, "Papa, can you hear me?" And
he
then
has-
they do a matchmaker at one
yes.
point. Yeah, when
he has a scarf over his head
Yeah.
like this.
He's a voiceover artist. It's his profession in that movie, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
then your career led you down that road.
I know. Look at that. I didn't put
It
that
set you
together.
up.
It
That's
did.
why I'm here, to make
Thank
connections.
you. I gotta go.
You got to make a phone call.
This changes everything.
My
I think
dad.
I've only seen that movie one time. You know, but I mean, I remember the trailer. I feel like that's the thing. Maybe I didn't see it.
We could
Maybe I didn't
watch
see
it.
that
We
movie.
should watch it together.
We should.
Yeah, you
we should
should.
gather all our families.
I'm ready.
Yes, I got a Coke. I'm ready to go.
All right.
Wait, you were going to say something about your dad, Mary.
Oh, so my dad, my parents are divorced, but my dad, that was something, he loved showing the movie to me. Now, in hindsight, I think he showed it to me because he was like, I don't get to see you as much. And I was like, are you going to dress up as Mrs. Doubtfire? Like whenever we were together, he's like, look what I brought. But then there was a contest in my town. There's like a local radio station. And they had a calling for, or a contest to be a commercial announcer. And he almost won, and it was to be Mrs. Doubtfire. But like not that Mrs. Doubtfire. It was like a local pizza spot. They were going to read commercials in Mrs. Doubtfire voice. And so my dad was,
nice.
he was the runner-up.
Because he does a good Mrs. Doubtfire voice.
He really did a good Mrs. Doubtfire voice.
Hello. That's the big voice.
Hello, yeah. And then remember, he said, Sally Field goes, how did he die, your husband? And he goes, well, he was hit by a Guinness truck. It was literally the drink that killed him. There's just little gems in everything he did. He was so smart.
Performance-wise, like he got to, it really hit his, like I almost feels like they definitely had him in mind when they wrote the script. They had
I
to,
think so.
right?
Yeah.
Or he made it his own so much.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Is
think
this something
so.
that you have seen with your family? Have you watched
Yes.
it with them?
Yes.
And did they like it? How did they react?
I think we showed it to them probably a little too young
Okay.
because they were like, are you guys getting divorced? Like, why are you showing us this? Like, it was, it was a little like, why are we, it was their first look at divorce, I guess. And so I was like, no, this is just a movie that I think is really fun. And the dad doesn't see his kids, so he dresses up. And then I think they were more sad, so we need to revisit it.
Interesting. I wonder if, like, maybe would you advise that movie to couples who are getting a divorce to play it for their kids as a soft way to tell them?
Yeah, that your
We have
dad
to maybe
is
tell
going
you
to be...
about, first we're going to watch this movie, and then we're going to have a discussion.
And then your nanny is going to be your father.
So that's that's how it, and that's usually in real life how it turns out.
Oh, yeah.
anyway.
Almost always.
Always, yeah.
It's so good, and it's so funny, and it's such a good comedy of errors, kind of like farce, with the restaurant scene at the end where you have to keep switching costumes, and Timothy Dalton, right?
No, it's
One of the Bonds.
it was Pierce Brosnan.
Pierce Brosnan. He's so
And
good.
Sally-
Dare you?
And Sally Fields,
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God, what a cast.
What year was this movie? Do we know? I don't even know what year was that.
93.
93.
Yeah, I knew it was when I was in college.
Yeah. So, okay, so I was like 5th grade or 6th grade.
All right.
I like
So you were the age of the older the boy?
the middle. I was the boy. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
The middle age who had the 12th birthday.
Yeah, oh, yeah, right.
Right. Yeah, and he's what Joey from Blossom's younger brother, I think. What was that kid's name?
Joey Lawrence. Joey Lawrence's
Lawrence.
younger brother.
I think it's his I'm pretty sure, if I remember. And then Mara Wilson was the littlest one. And then
great.
the older girl, she did some other movies too, but I don't remember her name.
It'd be fun to see what she's up to now.
Yeah, Mara
Maybe-
Wilson doesn't act at all now. She's I think she's written a book and she's more circumspect about her.
That was the youngest girl?
Yeah.
I think I wanted to be her when I watched that movie.
I think
That's really cute.
that's very cool. I think movies have a big impact on us when there's a character when we're young and there's a character our age. I remember like E.T. came out when I was Elliot. I was Elliot's age.
Yeah.
So Ashley doesn't like me to use my
Because it's going to bang on the microphone. I'm just trying to help you.
So we're still working out some kinks here.
That's
in this,
good. It's nice.
He's like literally like banging on the table that the microphone's sitting on. I'm like, buddy, I know what the noise that's going to make.
E.T.
Yeah, that's pretty much
I like a movie.
I have not seen Mrs. Doubtfire. I'm deciding right now. I don't think I've seen it.
I'm
gotta
excited
watch
for you.
it.
Are you deciding right
watch
now that you don't ever want to watch it?
No. I've just never seen it up to this point.
Gotta have a
Maybe-
movie night.
All right,
Yeah.
let's do it. We're
They'll
gonna do
bring
it
the
for movie night.
popcorn.
All right.
You guys will bring the
sounds good.
popcorn. Yeah,
Yeah.
All right.
Is that
We're
like
eating it now.
is that kettle pop or butter? What is it?
Nate is a real popcorn
I'm a popcorn
Chef.
person.
A popcorn connoisseur?
He is. He started making it. He makes it in this huge pot, and he puts like garlic, like cloves of garlic, and like
that's different
that he
level.
like steams, and then he puts like all these
Sage
herbs
and rosemary and
fried-
fennel seeds.
and like it's a very like
It's like a
very
garden.
tasty.
Savory.
Yeah, it's a
That's what we had for supper last night was popcorn
Yeah,
because it's
and
so
this
good.
is our leftover bag.
Now, Mary, when
Oh.
we'll do movie nights, Mary makes this great popcorn in the whirly pop.
Whirly
Have you
pop.
ever done a
Oh,
whirly
nice.
pop?
No, I don't even know what that is.
It's like a metal pot, and then
Yeah.
it has like a thing that turns
Yeah.
the popcorn inside, and you just kind of
Oh, cool.
just do this for. It takes about 45 minutes or
a
whatever.
good
just, like,
workout.
constant doing
Oh my
this
goodness!
for 45.
I just use a
minutes.
big old
Stew pot.
stock pot,
Oh, that's nice.
like a stainless steel stock pot, and you let it sit.
Oh,
Start it on high, and then turn it to medium after it starts popping. And then once it's half popped, I open the lid so that let the steam out, so it stays kind of crisp.
and it pops all the kernels.
And I don't have to
Never
shake it or anything.
kernels.
What?
I got my timing down.
Wow.
I cover the bottom of the pan in olive oil, so all the kernels are like touching the olive oil. And then when it's done, I pour the popcorn into a big bowl, and then throw the butter into the hot pot. So the butter melts in the hot pot and gets up all that extra, like, whatever's left in there from my seasonings. And then I pour it over the popcorn.
and then do you
And,
guys
and you get these little, like, great pieces of garlic throughout
do you
that are,
guys
like,
put
steamed and sweet.
do you put junior mints on top of your popcorn?
There's a theater in LA called Dynasty Typewriter that I went to recently, and you can get popcorn from there, and what they do is it is just regular buttered popcorn. They put like a layer of popcorn in, and then you get to choose what candies you want, and like sprinkle them in. Then they put another layer of popcorn, sprinkled candies.
Wow.
And you can pick what you want.
I didn't know this.
Oh, that sounds
I want to go
fancy.
back so bad because I didn't get it, and that guy wasn't sitting by me because I would have reached in, and I know, but not well enough to like just reach my hand in his popcorn. But I
Why
would've.
not?
Well, it almost feels like we veered into somebody else's podcast for a few minutes about maybe it was Solved for Pop X or something. It was just a whole popcorn.
It was a mashup.
It was
We
great,
did get
though.
very popcorn centered.
So that's okay. Mary,
Yeah.
thank you so much for.
Thank you, Mary.
Thank you, Mary.
Thanks for
Thank you,
having
appreciate
me.
it.
So great to see you. We may have met you at the pit somewhere along the line in the past.
This
Good to
is
see you
lovely.
again. Yeah.
It's meat proper. It's meeting proper.
Yeah.
I like it.
That's right. We'll see you for movie night then.
Okay.
All right, so I've got this.
Ooh.
Is it time?
You're drawing for Nate?
I'm going to draw for Nate.
Cool.
Oh my God, this is so exciting.
Are we ready to see what?
Let's
next-
do it. What's
next
gonna
time?
be? What's
What did
gonna
you
be?
put? Like everything, all of
I
our
put
suggestions
a lot
in there?
of them in there, and I did put. So I've got one. It's right here.
Oh my God.
I did put most of them in there. Okay. This is called The Sanctity of Breakfast Cereal.
Ooh.
Favorite cereals, cereal commercials, mascots.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so that's what it is. It's about breakfast cereals
Nice.
I love
from
it.
when we were growing up.
Oh my God, yes.
Sound
I
like a
have
good
so
topic, Nate?
many.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
that's
I'm
it.
excited about that one.
Breakfast
I can talk about
cereal.
breakfast cereal all
Yeah.
day.
This is Ashley's wheelhouse for sure.
All right. Well, we'll see you next time then.
All right. Bye.
Thanks.
Special thanks to Mary Jacobson for being on the show today.
Solve for Gen X is mixed and edited by Nate Starkey.
The theme song was written by Nate Starkey and Matt Vogel and performed by the Mighty Weeklings.
Our podcast art was created by Dave Hulteen at davehulteendesign.com.
You can find Solve for Gen X wherever you listen to podcasts.
And it's Also available to watch on YouTube.
Just search Solve for Gen X.
If you're so inclined, please rate and review our show. It really helps our visibility.
Or whatever.
Whatever.
Solve for Gen X is a Welcome Matt and Married Nate and Ashley production.
Decades, pastimes, memories, and past days. Solve for Gen X.